Oh fuck! Well, this actually looks pretty damn good. However, it's... Escape from Tarkov is the kind of game that you might have heard about from someone in your class, especially that quiet kid nobody talks to. It is a hardcore first-person shooter with survival and MMO elements. The game originated as a successor to the hardcore mode in a small FPS made by the same team, with heavy inspiration from DayZ and Stalker series. Throughout the course of its development, the game has changed quite a bit, both visually and mechanically. And as it is still in beta, some gameplay aspects might still be subject to change. However, even in the current state, Tarkov is a fairly complex game, so one should have a decent amount of knowledge to make the first experience less rough. And that knowledge base covers multiple aspects of the game. Moreover, Tarkov is comprised of many different obvious and less obvious mechanics, so to get good, your knowledge of the game should be quite deep. The game consists of a few main parts. Your own little PMC that you'll have to feed, heal and train, hideout, your personal cockshed, namely raids, the meat of the game, and finally your stash, where you'd be spending most of your time. As you launch the game for the first time, you're greeted with a choice that might prove to be the most influential in your whole life. It's time to choose a faction. There are two factions, Bear and USEC, and currently your allegiance affects only the starting gear and cosmetics. As for the starting gear,
Бойцы ЧВК БР нюхают бебру.
and USEC get the western stuff. Although some say if you choose USEC, it might also affect your sexuality. In terms of equipment, you have various different slots for it. Helmet, armor, ear protection, face cover, 2 primary weapon slots, pistol and melee slots, tactical rig and backpack. They can be individually selected from a wide range of gear to either achieve a specific look or to maximize utility. Some affect the way you perceive sounds, and others allow you to put more stuff onto your character. Moreover, some equipment blocks other slots. But once you see the amount of things in your inventory, you can probably tell that's where the hardcore elements come in. When you die in a raid,
You die in real life.
you lose your gear, from your weapons to the consumables you brought with you. Although there are a couple of exceptions. Firstly, a melee weapon, compass and armband. Secondly, your secure container, where you can put consumables, valuable items, or just things you don't want to lose. Also, equipment can be insured, and will come back in mail a day or so later, unless of course other players take it. It can be done by 2 of the available vendors, however along the usual fee they also steal your ammo and medicine. And the available vendors are Mechanic, Propor,
The Rapist.
Fragman, Peacekeeper, Skier,
The Rapist.
and finally Fence. Currently most of them are standard video game traders, a set range of items for sale which expands as you progress and complete quests. Different traders can offer different prices for the same item. Also, the same people that would gladly buy stuff you've taken from the cold hands of the locals give you quests, which range from visiting a location with water tanks to help the survivors to landing headshots with shaking hands. By completing quests, you improve your standing with a trader, and as it slowly rises up, you increase your loyalty level up to level 4. Except for Fence, who's the weird kid nobody talks to. He buys everything but for the lowest price among all vendors. His stock is also dynamic and consists of the stuff other players sell to him, with it being mostly broken guns and armors. You can trade with the vendors using 3 different currencies, rubles, euros and dollars. And as the game takes place in Russia, you can probably guess what currency is used most. In addition to vendors, there's a flea market where you can sell items you found on raid and buy from other players with your hard-earned cash. It greatly speeds up your progress in some quests and makes your life easier overall. However, you'd need to work quite a bit to get access to the Flea. Still, before you set out to experience conflict tour in Russia, you need to know what actually awaits you there. Currently, Tarkov is a session-based game, where in a time-limited match, you try to rummage through as many garbage bins as possible. You can jump into a raid as one of the two separate characters. PMC, your main character that you trick out, level up and complete quests as, or a scav with randomized equipment, who can be used to get some money and gear for your PMC if your supplies are running low. The PMC spawn at the beginning of the raid, at one of the set points on the map, while scavs start spawning a bit later. The enemies you can encounter in a raid can be divided into three types: PMCs, or other players usually with gear on par with yours or better; scavs, AI-controlled enemies which range from literal hobos that got their hands on surplus firearms to ex-PMCs. Another threat among AI-controlled enemies are heavily armed scav bosses. Those possess a far superior intellect, along with much better gear than your typical scav. And lastly, the player-controlled scavs. Simply changing who's in charge can turn a poorly equipped hobo into a ruthless PMC slayer. Most importantly, being controlled by a player makes scavs just slightly less predictable. Furthermore, player-controlled scavs usually have nothing to lose, unlike PMCs, so they might do something riskier than you'd expect, making them ever so dangerous. Player scavs also get bonuses to their karma for killing a PMC. It is displayed as your standing with fence. As you improve your karma, your playable scav gets better gear, consumables, and even might spawn with valuable loot in his inventory. Moreover, higher karma increases the number of available scav extraction points. And once you reach the maximum loyalty level, you can purchase uninsured gear and things like ammo and consumables that were lost in raid. You can also improve your karma by extracting through vehicle and joint extracts, where you need to cooperate with a scav. Those and ordinary extracts are the only way to survive the raid and bring loot to your stash. Usually the extracts available for you are on the opposite side of the map from your spawn, so you'd have to get per aspirate extract. Most maps have extraction points that are always active, and some that have a chance to be active in the current raid. Along with those, there are conditional extracts that require some kind of action to be performed or some conditions must be met in order to use them. Scavs, unlike PMCs who have a set list of extracts, get randomized extractions every raid that are usually separate from the PMC ones. So poking around in offline mode paired with an interactive map is always a good idea. However, to survive a raid and safely extract, you'd need some decent armor and weapons. Starting with the former, there are two types of armor protection in the game: vests and armored rigs. Rigs combine the functions of a vest and a tactical rig. Armors are divided into 6 classes, with class 6 providing the best protection. Each class has a high chance to stop a bullet that does not possess enough penetration. So class 5 body armor has decent chances to stop a bullet that has less than 50 penetrating power, and any bullet above that is almost guaranteed to penetrate. However, even when your armor stops a bullet, you still receive some blunt damage due to the impulse the bullet transfers.
Left a pretty big impression in the clay.
And ammo ranges from expanding bullets with no penetration to bullets that go through level 6 armor like a hot knife through butter. The former is extremely effective against unarmored body parts like legs, and the latter is perfect for shooting center mass. Besides damage and penetration, bullets also have a number of additional stats that make them look like STD test results. Some burn through a weapon's durability, and some reduce the recoil. However, ammunition with high flash damage might sometimes be the better choice, because different armors cover different body parts. They vary from basic plate carriers that cover your chest to full assault body armors that leave only your head and legs exposed. To make the matter even more convoluted, your character's head is not a single hitbox. It is divided into several smaller hitboxes, each requiring separate protection. And if you do get shot, you might survive a whole magazine or die after a single hit, in part due to the complex health system. Your character consists of 7 body parts. Each part has a separate health pool. And when the health of a certain body part is depleted, it becomes blacked out and imposes a certain debuff. However, only 2 parts are vital, and losing either of those would be lethal. The damage dealt to a blacked out body part is evenly spread among other parts, thus making kills through multiple shots to the legs possible. Blacked out limbs and stomach can be restored with surgical kits, but with a penalty to their total HP. Debuffs from blacked out body parts are specific to each part, and they mirror the debuffs from fractured limbs. Along with fractures, incoming hits can trigger various negative effects like bleeding and concussions. To heal those, a wide range of medication is available. However, some medkits combine the functionality of other medicine in return for taking up more slots. Painkillers mitigate the debuffs a blacked out or fractured limb brings, so you can flee to safety and recuperate there. However, depending on the painkiller you use, it might significantly decrease either your hydration or energy. When they are fully depleted, they inflict stamina debuffs and deal damage over time. You can keep yourself energized and hydrated by consuming food and drinks. Those can be bought from vendors, on the Flea, or found on Raid. The items you can find on Raid are a bit more varied than you might have expected. Household items, weapon parts, secret military tech, all that you can find in the evacuated city of Tarkov, with hundreds of looters running around. All those items that are seemingly useless for a mercenary have some kind of application here and there. Upgrades for a hideout, quests, and barters. There are also a number of lootable containers, from military weapon boxes to barrels hidden in the ground. Jackets, cabinets, and duffel bags can contain keys that unlock various doors across all maps. Some keys can be far more valuable than the others. Items you find in Raid have a mark, which allows you to sell them on the Flea or prove to a vendor that you really found that pack of ciggies yourself and didn't buy it somewhere. Other things you may find valuable are weapons, which are more varied than the whole gameplay process of Escape from Tarkov. They come in different forms, colors, and most importantly, different calibers. They can be civilian semi-auto carbines, bolt-action rifles, special forces submachine guns, and full-blown battle rifles. You also need to keep track of your magazines and load them yourself. They are not an integral part of your weapon as in most shooters, and can be detached at will. As it is with most gun parts in Tarkov. You can even strip down some weapons to a lower receiver or a trigger group. Popular platforms like AK or AR-15 have by far the deepest levels of customization, as well as the number of aftermarket parts. By installing better parts and tactical mods like foregrips and muzzle devices, you can improve the handling of the gun, reduce its recoil, or improve its ergonomics, which determine how quickly and how loudly you aim down sights. Once you've picked the most stylish look, built a gun and taken all you might need in combat, you can notice that one of the numbers on your loadout page has changed and even became yellow. It is the overall weight of your equipment, and you should keep track of it in order to stay swift and deadly. The heavier you are, the slower you move, and the more noise you make. Also, when you are overburdened, actions cost more stamina, and above certain weight, even walking drains it. Stamina is displayed as the green bar under your stance, and it works like it does in most games. As the bar turns red, you become unable to sprint or jump, and your character starts dying of asthma. And if you keep your stamina in the red section, you get a fatigue debuff, which makes your every move drain even more energy. The bar above displays the stamina of your hands. It determines how long you can stay aiming down sights. And when it turns red, your hands start violently shaking, basically disabling accurate fire. And the shooting itself is quite different from your typical FPS. Hipfire is less accurate, as you might have already guessed. However, tactical devices like lasers improve its accuracy. Also, bullets come out of your gun, instead of your eyes or your scope like in Rainbow Six Siege or Counter Strike. This might stop you from hitting shots from behind cover, since once again, the bullets come out of the barrel, and not the scope. Another peculiarity of Tarkov's gunplay is how the recoil is handled. Compared to any popular FPS, the recoil strikes as counterintuitive. The first burst is far more aggressive, but after a couple of shots, your character starts to control the recoil, unlike in most shooters where the recoil keeps slowly climbing up.
This way, shooting in bursts may be the perfect way to waste ammunition.
And as usual, shooting when crouching or prone will further improve your recoil control. You might also hit a defective cartridge, or any other kind of malfunction. To deal with it, you first have to inspect the weapon and only then clear the malfunction. Such and other various day-to-day actions like running, lifting heavy stuff, ratting around, receiving damage and even eating level up your character skills. Skills can be leveled up for a certain number of points in a single raid. And after you get them to the max level, you get an elite bonus. However, doing that might require some time and grinding. Yet leveling some skills might be necessary to have better chances against the mounting odds of Tarkov. And there's a lot that might influence your experience. First and foremost, having a trusty teammate in Tarkov might be important beyond measure. The game definitely becomes a lot less stressful, so you won't get scared of every single sound. Teammates can also ditch your equipment in some hard-to-reach spots, so it will return via insurance. The game becomes overall more enjoyable as you and your teammates become more coordinated and can execute more thought-out tactics and work as a team. And since level-based matchmaking, where you'd be facing players as unskilled as you are, isn't a thing, you'd be better off having as much help as you can. And as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.